I'm still with Talk's international editor, Isabel Oakeshott. Isabel, which do you want to do first, the migrant crisis or just stop oil?
Oh, what makes me more wound up? It's
That's
definitely the
that's the tenor
migrant.
of that's the meaning of my question. So,
Oh yeah, let's go for the migrant crisis.
okay, it is a more important story. First of all, in order for us to be very annoyed, and I think everybody should be very annoyed about this, after a week, it's now been since last Wednesday. They've been coming across hundreds every single day, day in, day out. Yesterday, 357 came across. So I think the total for that takes the total for the year over 5,000. We're on course probably for 60,000 this year. Starmer, as we know, faffing around in Paris, doing absolutely nothing about this whatsoever. So in itself, you know, the fact there's no deterrent, we don't stop anybody coming across, we just escort them into the bosom of this country and then give them free hotels, free 45 quid a week, free lawyers, free dentists, free doctors, and so free food as well. You know, that ongoing ludicrous situation is a national scandal, and the government's failure to even think about doing anything about it is preposterous. So that in itself is something to get very annoyed about. But what do we learn today? That the Sentencing Council, these are the people, I think it was the beginning of last week, recommended to judges and magistrates that people from an ethnic background, Muslims, people with a different religion, different culture, foreigners, should be given more lenient treatment legally in the courts than those of us who have the temerity to be white British citizens, two-tier justice. Well, now we learn that that same august body, the Sentencing Council, is introducing new guidelines on immigration offences, instructing judges to impose sentences always of less than 12 months. We have a statutory clause in our system whereby if foreigners, asylum seekers, break the law and go to jail for more than 12 months, they're automatically earmarked for deportation. Doesn't by any means mean that they get deported, but they're at least put in the bracket of deportation. If it's less than 12 months, there's no recommendation for deportation. So we have this absurd system whereby if someone comes here, and you know, we have the courtesy to allow foreigners to break into our country illegally or even legally, and then they have the discourtesy to break our laws. As long as we sentence them to less than 12 months, they can carry on living here. No deportation recommended. So these judges, the Sentencing Council, have told judges, make sure that when you've got asylum seekers, illegal migrants, make sure, whatever they've done, that you sentence them to less than 12 months, then we don't have to deport them. How insane is that?
Well, it's completely insane, and the absolute reverse should be true. I mean, actually, the advice and the recommendations, in fact, I would say what should be made a legal obligation is that any migrant who breaks the law should be immediately deported. We shouldn't be fussing about their sentences. It should quite simply be instant deportation if you are found guilty of breaking the law. No ifs or buts. You know, I just wonder what these judges and these people responsible for these sentencing guidelines think happens after an illegal migrant or a new arrival breaks the law and spends any time in prison. Do they really think that after that happens, that illegal migrant or convict is going to get a job in the normal economy? Are they going to do that? Are they going to be employable? No, of course they're not. So what does that mean? They're either fully dependent on the state, or they are going to turn to more crime, or they're going to work in the black market, which is roughly the same thing. They're going to be the people that you find in the illegal car washes, the fake barber shops, and all the other areas of the black economy that we know about. This isn't doing our country anything other than great harm.
Exactly right. You just wonder what goes through their minds. I mean, what we should be doing is getting rid, as you suggest, Isabel, of this ridiculous notion that as long as you only go to jail for less than a year, no need to deport. I mean, what are you talking about?
Complete insanity. If somebody can produce me an example of a relatively recent migrant who has gone to prison and has come out, having been sentenced to less than a year, and has come out and made an amazing career and contributed to our society, then I'm all ears. Please come on talk and give us that illustration. In fact, it'd be a really good story. I'd love to hear it genuinely. If we can have some examples of why that approach is good for our country, and those people who have come here and broken our laws are a net benefit to our country, then great. Please demonstrate that. But I really don't think we're going to be getting many calls.
Let me put this out to the audience, folks. Do you agree with Isabel and I that far from making sure we give light sentences to asylum seekers who break our laws so we don't have to deport them, we should get rid of this ridiculous 12-month rule where as long as you only go to jail for 11 months or 6 months, no need to even think about deporting people? Do you agree with Isabel and I that as soon as someone breaks the law in this country, one of our visitors, an asylum seeker, an illegal migrant, even a legal migrant, you're out. You're out. Simple as that. That's not unreasonable. Come here, break our laws. You can't stay. Do you agree? Get rid of this 12-month rule and certainly don't give them special treatment in the courts. More two-tier justice. Isabel, before we move on, let's talk about Just Stop Oil. I guess the headline here is Just Stop Oil Stop. Because that bunch of middle-class idiots with their placards and their soup that they throw at paintings and the traffic that they stop, they've announced that their very public marching in the streets and their very public demonstrations are now over. They're not going to do it anymore, essentially because they believe that they've been successful, you know, that they've influenced the likes of Ed Miliband to go along with what they want. They say that they have succeeded in keeping over 4.4 billion barrels of oil in the ground. I don't know how on earth they estimate that, but I don't think it's that they've achieved anything. First of all, they have not stopped oil, so they can't say we've achieved everything we want. No, you haven't stopped oil at all. I filled my car up with petrol only this morning, so you didn't stop oil, did you? Now, here's the reason I think they're throwing in the towel. It's because they don't make the papers anymore. They don't get on the telly. We're just bored with them. So they go into art galleries, throw some soup over a Van Gogh, and nobody really cares anymore. We're bored with them. We're sick of them. So their virtue signalling goes unnoticed and unheralded, and they don't like that. That's why they're giving up, I think.
Well, I think they also realise that most people absolutely hate them and don't respect their tactics. I mean, I think they've got some claim to saying that they've been successful in this country because look what we've got.
With Ed, yeah, I agree with that. With Ed Miliband, crazy Ed, yeah.
Crazy Ed Miliband. And, you know, it sticks in the throat, doesn't it, to hear them boasting of having prevented the release of vast quantities of our own oil and gas that could actually make everybody's energy bills lower. To that extent, they have been successful. Interesting statistics. You asked about the figures that they raised, but it seems that about 3 billion barrels of oil could be available to us if only Ed Miliband would reverse his nutty policies. As you say, they've not actually stopped oil and they never will stop oil. What they've done is increased and extended UK dependency on imports. They've made us less energy secure and they've made it much more difficult for ordinary people to make ends meet. I don't think that's a legacy remotely to be proud of. I'm also a little bit concerned that they are boasting of new strategies, and I'm wondering what those new strategies are going to be. I doubt they're going to be anything that makes anybody feel better about life.
I doubt it. I wonder if they'll start to let people in who are under the age of 80. They all seem to be so old, don't they? Great, but grey-haired old ladies.
Well, either very old or very young, and in both categories, very stupid.
Yeah, I remember turning up at this building once, the News UK building, Talk Towers, and there was a Just Stop Oil vicar. He was a retired vicar, and he'd super glued himself to the doors here. And I just said to him, he's about like 75 or something like that. I said, what do you think you're doing? I'm just stopping oil, I've got to save the planet. I said, what do you care? You're going to be dead tomorrow, you're so old. I mean, you know, what's up with these people? Anyway, good riddance. They didn't really do that much harm. They just annoyed us quite a lot. And good riddance, and go away, and we'll never think about you again. But you're right, they'll come up with something probably to irritate us. But essentially, they're just a bunch of middle-class virtue signallers. And I don't want to sort of cast aspersions, but I'm just wondering if they're racists. Because you never see any demonstrators of colour, do you? No black Just Stop Oil demonstrators, do you? Do they have a race policy? Am I right there or something?
Well, they're bound to have an equality and inclusion policy.
Well, they don't include people of colour.
They certainly include people of very few brain cells.
Yeah, you're right about that.
You know, the other reason I think they might have stopped, by the way, Kev, is because actually a few judges were starting to send them to prison in a highly unusual development. This was actually happening. So maybe they're just getting a little bit tired of being dragged through the courts, as quite rightly they should be.
Yeah, that did work. You're right about that. As it worked with Extinction Rebellion, once you start sending middle-class people to jail, they think it's a grand gesture. I'm going to jail for my principles. Then they get to jail and they really don't like it. So you're right. I think the fact that we started to throw the book at them had an effect as well. So they're probably giving it up because they're scared of prison. Ha ha. I send them all to jail and throw away the key.